All right, everybody, it's Mr. Ryan coming at you with a brand new unit. We're going to start Unit 1, which is a lot about statistics. We're going to begin with Lesson 2, Data Representations. The first problem here, 2.1, is called a Notice and Wonder about battery life. What it says is the dot plot, histogram, and box plot summarize the hours of battery life for 26 cell phones that are constantly streaming video. What do you notice? What do you wonder? So we'll talk about hopefully some of the things that we should notice, but we'll leave the wondering up to you guys. So the first thing that we're looking at here is called a dot plot. A dot plot is named that exactly what it looks like. There's a bunch of dots on a number line. So a dot plot is very specific. It represents each individual data point. So you know exactly how many cell phones have a 4-hour battery life. You can count the number of dots that are on top of 4. Also, if you were to count up all the dots total, there are in fact 26 dots that represent each of the 26 cell phones, and you can see those very clearly. So if you want to know how many phones have a battery life of 3.5 hours, you go to 3.5, count the number of dots above it. You want to know how many at 5.5 hours, you go to the dot plot, you count the number of dots. So it's very specific. It gives you very specific information. The second thing here is called a histogram. Hopefully we've seen it before. It kind of looks like a bar graph, but instead you can see the bars are all touching each other. And what a histogram does the best is that it shows ranges of data values. So it's not as specific as a box plot. A box plot will tell you exactly how many are at each different hours of battery life. A histogram gives you ranges. So as you can see, this first bar is the battery life of anywhere between 2 and 3 hours. Whereas this bar here is also the battery life anywhere between 5 and 6 hours. But you're not exactly sure how many are 5, how many are 5.5, how many are 6. So it more shows you the ranges. Still useful, but it shows you the ranges. And along your y-axis here, it's counting the number of times. So as you can see, every bar represents how many phones fall within that range of data. Lastly, this is called a box plot. It's set above a number line, and it's very general. A box plot is very general because it gives you pretty much a summary. It gives you more of a summary of the data. So if you want to be very specific, you're going to go to a dot plot. A box plot is more going to give you the general summary of the data. For example, you can see that this over here kind of shows you the low. This end over here would show you the high, and we have a lot of other business going on here in the middle. And as we deal with box plots more, you'll see what all of those components really mean, but it really just kind of summarizes what you're looking at. So each of these things has its own positives and negatives depending on really what you're trying to get out of your data.